All right. Tagging in, tagging out. We go from Lima, Peru to Seattle, Washington, find out what's going on in the Palouse with our buddy Nico Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. And let's check the lighting. Oh, the mood lighting is there this morning. Check that out. Look at you, brother. What's going on?
What's going on, Big John? Everybody, SDH family, we're back in just regular programming hours. We are back with the right attitude, and hopefully I'm coming in okay because I was having some issues with my microphone. By your look, it sounds like everything's fine. So, hey, man, let's get going. This is, cup number 2 of the morning of a nice cup of Pike Place blend here today. So we are excited to talk some Sounders as well today. We have some news coming in about the Sounders. Everybody's getting ready for preseason. We have a lot of stuff going on in MLS, man. So I'm just here to dance at the beat of your drum, my friend. So you tell me where we go. What do we do?
Well, we got to start with the home team because there has been some stuff that has happened. I know that one of the big topics of conversation we had when the season ended was the status of Paul Rothrock and what was going to happen. Was it going to be a contract where he was going to get 800, 900 somewhere in there? Is he going to stay? Is he going? Who's going to get him? What's up? He stays, and that's probably one of the bigger storylines in the Pacific Northwest, not just in Seattle, but I think one of the bigger storylines in the Western Conference going into 26.
Absolutely. Look, Paul Rothrock, say what you want about him. You may know him, you may not. You may think very highly of him or not. Like, he was put in the exact same stratosphere as Lionel Messi. Same context. Everybody talked about it. So, he got some recognition. And to give him due credit, he was excellent for the Sounders last season. He had been an important piece. He went from being a contributor to a starter to someone that Hakimi was exchanging jerseys with after the PSG game. I mean, Paul Rothrock did his thing to give and show that he deserves some respect. Put some respect on my name. And he knew that going into a free agency market was going to be difficult and it was going to be new, but he wanted to do it. And he ended up going out there. There is a story right now through Thunder Heart that he had some interesting offers from the English Premier Championship. And he said that there were other pools that he could have gotten into, but he ended up staying with the Sounders because of everything that he's done and being the local kid. So as we had talked about previously, and when we were reporting what was happening and all of the MLS teams that were interested, I continually said that the best option for both club and player was that there was going to be a resolution, and that's what happened. I think he gets a raise. They're not overpaying for the player. I still have no indication that the salary's anywhere far away from what we were reporting, which is between 600 to 650,000 in salary. So I think it's a win-win for both sides. Seattle needed the depth at the winger position. They needed to make sure to keep them. I think it's going to create some fun and interesting competition. I will say that Paul Rothrock, as much as he's confident and he probably thinks, look, I'm going to get a lot of playtime. I'm going to be a starter. Paul Arriola has looked like he's ready to go to start the season. So when this Sounders team goes to Marbella to do their preseason, I think wingers like Georgie, Paul Arriola, Paul Rothrock, that's going to be a very interesting grouping on that left side. If everything stays as is, which that is something else that we can talk about later on a couple of months from now, is do the Sounders play the exact same way they did last season with Ferreira being that pocket winger on the right side? So a lot of things that fluidly come across because of the Sounders being able to secure their guy, Pauly Primetime.
So then let me ask about off the field. How does losing an assistant coach to LAFC affect things on the touchline and on a learning day basis over at Providence and Swedish Bouncy House and 5-minute oil change?
As always, assistant coaches are underrated. and we don't quite understand how important they are until they're gone. But I think it's huge. And the biggest void is having a coach like Andy Rose that had such a common ground with players. He was a liaison. He was someone that players felt very comfortable with. He was someone that put a lot of work in on the field. He was someone that, worked in set pieces and worked in defending, and did a lot of work with Guillermo Gomez Andrade, with Jackson Reagan. He did it with Obed. I mean, he was just so influential in so many components of what Freddie Juarez and Brian Smetzer and Preki wanted to do, that I don't know if the new guy, which we'll talk about that in a second, is going to have those attributes. But it's clearly a good move for Andy Rose. He goes to be the second guy for Mark Dos Santos. And I think beyond certifications and education at the coaching level, I always feel like there are things that you don't learn, and it's just the persona and the way you deliver a message and the way that you handle your curriculum. And I think Andy Rose has that chip. He has that thing about him, that X factor about making him a good coach. So I definitely think he's going to be a big loss for the Sounders. I think he's going to be important at LAFC. And now the new guy is Ricardo Clark, who I had reported on here and on several shows that he was going to be the Tacoma Defiance coach. That's why he was brought in. That's what he ended up going through the interview process for. And he was a little overqualified. So when Andy Rose took this job, it made sense to just go ahead and bring up Ricardo Clark, and we'll see what happens with the head coaching position for Tacoma Defiance. I just don't know if this is like for like. So there will be a learning curve. Ryan Clark, Ryan Clark, Ricardo Clark, without a doubt, has a lot of experience when it comes to being an assistant coach. But does he fit with the group? Is he going to bring the same attributes that Andy Rose did? I don't quite know. But that's the guy. That's the substitution there in terms of the coaching staff.
Yep, light board went up. Ricardo Clark goes in as Andy Rose goes out. What else do we need to know about what's going on in Seattle? We've talked about absences. We know who's coming in, and we know who's now in place. You're still what? You're a little while before you get to pitchers and catchers report. But what do we need to keep an eye
on? Yes, there is a set of news, and it has been. It was a rumor. Then it was confirmed by Jeremiah Oshan, and I actually, this morning, as I look at making sure that I don't say anything I'm not supposed to, it looks like it's a done deal that the Sounders are getting Nikola Petkovic from Charlotte FC in a loan. This is a U22 midfielder that was a prospect 2 years ago. That was an interesting one for sure. That there was a lot of expectations, but he didn't quite fill those in Charlotte, and that's my skepticism. That's my underwhelming feeling when I hear the U22 with a name right next to it. U22, they're supposed to be exciting. They're supposed to give you a sense of a high ceiling, a guy that's going to come in to either perform immediately or he's going to come in and be a project that has a high ceiling. I don't see either when it comes to this specific player. I thought that maybe the Sounders were going to go out there and look for a different profile midfielder if that's what they were going to do, is try to add depth at that position. And they're not, they don't really have a six, like a true six, a true disturber, a true defensive only type of guy in their roster right now. Nicola is more of an 8. He actually likes to get higher up the field. I've been doing a lot of research on his play, and he finds attacking spaces very well. He creates opportunities in the few times he got, because let's make that very clear. Last season, he only played 4 matches for Charlotte in last season. He had a hard time getting in Dean Smith's rosters charge, right, in the starting 11, and that is concerning. we all know that at times, if a coach, if you don't fit a coach's style, or if you are in a position where you were brought in and the coach didn't ask for you, that could be taken into consideration. But it still makes me feel a little bit uneasy. So this all comes to one more thing that we need to talk about here, and it's what I call a tell. And same as in the poker table, there are tells, there are things that you're looking for. To me, this is a tell that the Sounders are going to do everything they can to put Obed in the block, the transfer block,
Oh,
in January, and they're going to ship him elsewhere. Because as of right now, and I've been doing a lot of digging into the situation, I don't see a resolution between Obed Vargas and the Sounders for a contract extension. I mean, negotiations are ongoing, but this is what I was told. We are farther than closer. We're getting farther than closer. That is literally something that I just found out over the last 3 days, is that the negotiations between the Sounders and Obed Vargas are far away from coming to a conclusion. So that leaves the Sounders very exposed. Either you sell him in this winter window, or you roll the dice and hope that he doesn't get a pre-contract in the summer where he's going to be able to go on a free. Now, for Obed Vargas, he has all the leverage. He, other than an injury, that could happen. If everything goes well, he's going to have all of the leverage to go and negotiate. He's a talent. He's someone that has a lot of interest from European teams. And it sounds like Obed Vargas' camp is very confident that without the need of having an extended contract or a club talking for him, they can go out there and get a very good offer in Europe. So it's a difficult situation. But all of this, Nikola coming in, Hassani Dotson coming in, it just tells me that the Sounders are getting ready to offload Obed Vargas, and yeah, that's kind of all part of one big problem for the Seattle Sounders.
And just so folks know, Petkovic last year, combined with Crown Legacy and MLS Next Pro and with Charlotte, it was 11 appearances, all comps, 1 goal, 1 assist. In 24, he had 14 appearances with the top club with Charlotte, 14 matches and 1 goal, 18 appearances in 24, and just the 1 goal. So you're looking at roughly 30 appearances over 2 seasons for both Crown Legacy and for Charlotte FC, 2 goals, 1 assist for Nikola Petkovic. And his positioning so far in his pro career, he has been a central midfielder in 13 matches, a D mid in 12 of them. He's been an attacking mid, a left mid, and a second striker in 7. So 13 at central mid, 12 at D mid, 7 in other midfield and striker positions, and that includes his time. So that's what you're staring at with the positions played with Nikola Petkovic. And just so you know, I had to check this out really quickly, see if I could spell Petkovic. He's got a high price tag. He comes in last season at a base of $420, nice, and guaranteed compensation of $466.25. So Petkovic, that's a bit of rolling the dice there on somebody that really hasn't produced and who's supposed to be earning $466.25 that he did with Charlotte last year.
So I'm not crazy. I mean, that's the head scratcher for me, right? That is this conundrum that I'm in, because I try to make sense out of what Craig Weibel does, and I give him credit when credit is due. But things like this, I don't know, they just don't make any sense to me. You just basically gifted Danny Leyva to Necaxa, a guy that, for all senses, is the same type of player that is an offensive player. He could play the 8, he could play the 10. He's part of your academy. He's a product of the club. He knows and understands the system. You gift him for, I don't know, 700 or 800,000 with possibility to get $1 million or so if he plays well for Necaxa. And now you go and spend double his salary with a guy that has not panned out for Charlotte, that it's also for everything that I've was able to talk to people close to Charlotte, people who follow the player. They're, look, he's technically gifted, not the fastest. He reads spaces well. Yeah, I'm hearing some of the things that we saw from Danny Leyva, or at least that the club thought that they had concerns of, is the dynamism, the speed, and things like that. So I just don't get it. Now, maybe it's because it's a body that might be on a free because it's a loan and he's cheap, and there is potential that this is an option with this is a loan with an option to purchase. So if he plays well, maybe you get him on the cheap. That's fine. But are you getting better? Is that ceiling getting higher because of this specific player? No, it's not. So those are the things that kind of they're odd, right? Because you're spending more than you gave out on a player that essentially does the same stuff. So again, I don't want to be too critical. I want to see the player come in, perform. I need to see him myself before I could add any more thoughts into the situation. But right now, it just doesn't make much sense to me, knowing that this team, in my opinion, needs another striker, that there is other positions of need. So it is what it is, but that's where the Sounders are at going into what I believe Monday. We'll be able to go back to Providence and Swedish Bouncy House and Clubhouse. So Monday we'll figure out what's going on. But this move doesn't quite sit well with me.
And Hassani Dotson's 25 salary is listed totally at six and a quarter was base, guaranteed comp is 682.5. So those are the numbers that you're looking at.
And that's going up.
Yeah. So
that's going up. So that's a lot of money spent there, right? I mean, you're for everything I've been able to find out, it's like 800 to 800 plus that you're going to be paying salary base for Hassani Dotson. That's no small pickings. That is a big salary. You that guy is going to be playing a lot of minutes for you. So it all ends up being a domino effect. You're gonna want to get Obed out to make things make sense. Otherwise, you're gonna have a very convoluted, very occupied center midfielding group with maybe some salary cap space that you could have used elsewhere. So I don't know. This thing just could go sideways on the Sounders, and I don't like it. I do not like it.
How does San Jose let Christian Espinosa go? And specifically now he's looking at Nashville. And so that's intriguing on two fronts.
Initially, it was reported as a mistake and a boo-boo. I have a hard time understanding how that happens. They weren't able to sign him at the right time, whatever it was. They gave him the opportunity to go out there and look elsewhere. As far as I know, there was more money to be had with San Jose anyways, but he decides that it was time for a change, and I don't blame him. I mean, he's been in San Jose for a long time. He's known the struggles of what it means to wear that jersey. Great fan base, a great culture, but at the end of the day, that is a team that has struggled to win. And it seems to be systematically. I mean, it's just so difficult. So he goes to Nashville with BJ Callahan in a team that, quite honestly, they're going to be a contender in the East. I mean, last year I was high on them. I thought that they were building up to be a very good team. You put him next to Mukhtar and Sam Surge, and you have a very good attacking-minded team. You have a very good attacking trio. So, man, more power to Christian Espinosa. I think that he's going to amplify that attack. I think that he fits that system, and he could only get better with BJ Callahan. So, great move for Nashville. Great move for Espinosa.
Messi and friends keep adding pieces, and a lot of folks are sitting there and wondering how they're fitting all of these pieces in. They add Mikael on a loan deal from Palmeiras. It looks like, and I say it looks like, that they're keeping an eye on Portland, possibly bringing in Ayala. There was a report yesterday that Tristan Blackman would be heading that way, but then Axel Schuster, we read that in hour number one. Axel Schuster was like, "Nah, fam, that ain't right. We're looking to add, we're not looking to sell." It looks like once again, folks retire, and you're seeing the churn for Messi and friends, and trying to continue to have that depth that is there. Dane St. Clair is now officially official as well. They keep adding pieces, and the financial aspect of it is obviously the part that folks are scratching their head as to how are they making all these pieces fit, and they might still be adding pieces as we go, as we get ready for training camp.
Especially because they still have an open DP spot because they were able to re-sign Allende without using that. And look, I don't go and waste time complaining or thinking about it because I know that the salary cap space, we know that that team specifically has had some issues. They've been, you know, hit in the wrist by mom and dad about just not following the rules. So they're gonna be able to, they know and understand what it takes to bring these players in, whether that's on the books or off the books. Me and you have talked about how things happen sometimes with these types of players and these types of clubs. But the reality is that having Messi and having Macherano and having the Inter Miami recruiting tools,
Yeah.
sometimes you'll take a pay cut, just like Dane St. Clair did. And you just want to go and be part of greatness and you want to play with greatness. So you can't be too mad at it. Obviously, I hope that they are held accountable and that, you know, everything's being followed at least on the books as it's supposed to. But look, Mikael, to me, makes him so much better than last season. I mean, so much better. I don't care the Alba's gone. I don't care the Busquets gone. Mikael, St. Clair, bringing back Agenda. I mean, this is a team that with every single acquisition they've made this season, they've gotten better. They've either replaced what was gone and then got better. You're waiting for a big Silvetti year. Now Segovia becomes a rotational player. Ayala, which as far as I know, that's also, if not completed, near getting completed. That's a player that has huge upside, that it is a gamble because of the way his contract is kind of placed, but that's what ambition is. Sometimes you just kind of take it and you're able to bring in a player that has different attributes than Bright, and he has a high ceiling. I think he played like 30 games for Portland, and I've always liked him. And he learned from the best of the best at midfield in Diego Chara, and I heard great things from Diego about Ayala. So man, I just think that Inter Miami is doing the unthinkable, creating a super team. But what I will say is this, for everybody that's upset, they're also putting a huge target on their backs. Anytime that you bring this much talent and anytime that you're cooking this heavily in the kitchen and it smells so good, when it hits my table, that plate better be delicious because I'm gonna, the expectation is as high as it gets. So we're gonna be thinking CONCACAF Cup champions. We're going to be thinking MLS champions. We're going to be thinking they're going to win it all, everything. And that expectation is hard to keep up with. So we'll see. We'll see. But right now, in the off season, they're cooking, baby. They are doing it all.
I mean, you look at the Yelp rating, and it's 4.8. You get 4.8s and 5s, and you don't want to be the one when you're walking into the restaurant to sit there. And I've heard great reviews. You sit down and things are cold, and the drinks aren't great, and the servers are on a bad day. You don't want that to act up on your Yelp review when it comes to the what you're cooking in the kitchen for Messi and friends. The deal, Herman Garcia Grova was the first to report it yesterday. Looking to acquire Ayala, $2 million cash, and so now we're starting to see the intra-league cash deals also picking up steam. That started last year in a couple of different places. This would be one of those $2 million intra-league cash deals. Stays as a U22, which once again helps out in that regard, where you don't have to sit there and have him be a high tam or whatever. He's a U22, so that helps you out there, like it did with Austin and Owen Wolf. If you can get David Ayala in as a U22 to help you out there, they say it's close. He's out of contract at the end of the year. So then what you're doing is, if you get Ayala, you get him as a U22, you set your deal with him where he was going to be out of contract. You get everything locked in before he turns 22, and then that number doesn't hit you as hard as it would otherwise. And so David Ayala, I'm like I said, I'm intrigued as to see how this fits. But U22 to have it fit as a start and then have him sign like it was the Owen Wolf deal, that's how I think this one fits into the dynamics of your salary cap.
and it makes you deeper, it makes you better, it makes you a scary team to face. Midfield was always, in my opinion, an Achilles heel for Inter Miami, regardless of how good they were and how far they got. If you were going to beat them, it was going to be through midfield, it was going to be defensively through space. Now they're just shoring up all those holes. Despite aside from a injury or anything like that, Inter Miami just looks like the big bad wolf that they're going to be able to just take care of everybody, between getting Reggie and everything that they were able to do in this offseason with what they already had, including just keeping Luis Suarez for another year. I mean, they're swinging for the fences, and we'll see how much Mascherano deals with it. Nothing set on stone. That's why we play the games. Just the way of the world. That's the way of the world we live in sports. Sometimes just having it on paper doesn't mean it's going to come to fruition on the pitch. But right now, as it stands, I mean, it's in Miami and everybody else.
David Lee, sporting director at Sporting Kansas City, said that there were going to be double-digit changes or double-digit additions to the roster. Rafa Vicky is now the new head coach at Sporting. Walker Zimmerman heads to Toronto on a free, and so that hopefully helps them out defensively. They brought in William Yarbrough to help out in net. It was going to be Luka Gavrin who was going to be starting, so now you have your experienced backup with Yarbrough. I'm trying to sit here, and if there's anything that Ali Bedoya has re-signed with Philadelphia this morning, so that is now officially official as well. RSL's made a couple of moves, including getting Chance Cowell for 6 figures worth of Garber bucks. Portland has brought in Brandon Bai, which I thought was really good to help them out on the back line. Crepeau is officially official from Portland to Orlando City in the purple team. What other transactions, like in the last week or so, have kind of stuck with you? You're like, aha, and you're keeping an eye on those.
Yeah, I mean, the Timbers also brought the Australian defender Alex Bonic, and I think the Western Conference is making some interesting moves, and it's going to change the dynamic of the entire standings. We'll see what happens with Houston and potentially bringing Bogut's. I feel like that's a big pickup for Houston if they do get him. There is reports of Hector Herrera coming back to MLS, and I'm hearing that could be on the West Conference as well. So there are some things going on, but I feel like the biggest thing is that Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that is true. What we're hearing, that their point right now is to retain, because they lost Jaden Nelson, they lost Ali Ahmed. I mean, this is a team that needs to keep what they have. Right? There was talks about Cuba's leaving. This is a team that collectively, that was their spark. That's what made them different, right? And if they start to lose all of these pieces, there's a good chance that they're not going to be top of the West next season, right? Same as Portland. Portland is losing a 30 game type of midfielder. The one that I thought was going to take the torch from Diego Chara, Christian Paredes, is about to sign with Cerro Porteño. So what happens to that midfield? What happens to Cabecita Rodriguez? We don't really know what's going to happen with him. I mean, they got Velde and Costa, and there are some interesting pieces there, but Phil Neville is another one that seems to be just remodeling the house, and we'll see what that looks like at the end. But I don't see enough coming in to what I've seen coming out as of right now. So I think that there's a lot of teams in the West that at this particular moment don't look like they're, there's a lot of high potential. I'm waiting for San Diego to do more as well. That's another team that I feel like needs to build on what they did last season. Austin, they picked up Jaden Nelson. They got some small things going for them, but nothing that's gonna tilt the scale on their end. So we'll see. I think that the Western Conference is a more fluid concept than the East is, right? I mean, LAFC also, they have to see what happens with Marc Dos Santos. I'm very high on Marc Dos Santos. I think that he's going to handle the team well, but that puts a little bit of a question mark. How is that going to work? LA Galaxy, no Ricky Puig next season. How are they going to deal with that? How is that going to work out? Do they replace him? Do they go get another DP? They just decided to keep Nacimiento. I like the move. I don't mind it. But is he that guy? So the West just looks like we don't know what's going to happen.
And that's why we have you on every Thursday to break it all down. What do folks need to know about what's going on with Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports?
Yes, we have an excellent what we learned so far is what we've called it because the season has started. We haven't been able to be at the facility yet, but if you go to the Sounder at Heart Podcast Network and the Sounder at Heart YouTube page, you'll find me and Jeremiah talking about all of these moves. We talk about Andy Rose, what that might look like, what that could happen, what the Marbella schedule is, and when the team leaves, what to expect from that end. So go ahead and check that out. We have some very interesting interviews that they're coming up. I haven't completely secured them, but there's going to be some very interesting ones next season. Pulso Sports, of course, we're going to be at the facility for the Sounders on Monday. We're going to have some interesting content there. So yes, sir, that's what we got going on.
As always, my friend, it's great to see you. It's going to be great to have everybody reporting and getting the 2026 season underway. Be safe, my friend. Enjoy time at Providence and Swedish 5-minute oil change and delicatessen. And we will catch up with you again next week.
All right, my friend. Have a good one.